People often ask me, should I cut down before I quit? And I would always say, absolutely don't cut down. And the reason I say this is there aren't too many things that I would say, don't do this, don't do that. You know, I like people to be able to be flexible in the way that they quit smoking. However, cutting down is not a great idea. If you want to put yourself through a bit of torture, then go ahead and do it. But it's just not advisable. It's almost like when you used to fall over and have a plaster on a big scab underneath it, and at some point your mum would come along and say, let's get that plaster off, and you'd have this temptation where you'd want to pull it off slowly, and which hurts, especially if you've got hairy arms. But the best way, as we all know, to get the plaster off is to get it off quickly and then deal with it. So in that same way, if you look at, let's say you go from 20 cigarettes, you've got a week to go before you quit smoking, you think, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go from 20 cigarettes to 10 cigarettes. Sounds good in principle, because then it makes the jump from 10 to 0 easier, or 10 to 5 if you want to go down that route, don't do it. So you've got your 20 cigarettes to 10 cigarettes. What then happens is you space out those 10 cigarettes. So you used to just merrily smoke your 20 all day long, and that was fine, probably roughly 1 an hour, maybe a couple more. And now you've got a situation where you've gone down to 10 cigarettes, and you've got a space of time in between each of those cigarettes, and that space of time is longer than you were used to. So what starts to happen to you mentally is that you start to then feel deprived of cigarettes. And if you can imagine, from my point of view, the last thing I want my clients to feel just before they're about to stop smoking for good is to feel deprived of cigarettes, to feel, oh, this is difficult, oh, it's quite painful actually, isn't it, to quit smoking? No one told you to do that, that's not how you quit smoking. So it will feel painful, because when you're leaving extra time between your cigarettes, you're actually going into withdrawal, and you won't have any medication to back you up if that's the route you choose. But you know, you are going into withdrawal, and you're not actually in the point at which you're quitting, so you're not using any techniques to deal with it. Also, and worse, what you will do is start to clock watch. So you'll be looking at that clock every 10 minutes, thinking, when am I having that next one, when am I having that next one? Really bad idea to start doing that, because then you've got this longing for cigarettes. The second last thing I want my clients to do before they quit smoking is start longing for cigarettes, because that's not the mental attitude that we want. And then even worse is that when you get that precious cigarette at the end of that 2 hours, you will then really enjoy it, and it will be like the best treat you've had in the last 2 hours. You know, if you were happily chugging away at your 20 a day or more, then you wouldn't feel that way about the cigarettes. You wouldn't see them as a treat at that point. And again, we do not want you, the week before you quit smoking, or the 2 weeks or 3 weeks before you quit smoking, to start then viewing cigarettes as a treat. So what happens then when you go down to 5 cigarettes a day? Oh, treat number 1, whenever you choose to have that one, watch the clock all day, go into withdrawal, feel bad. Treat number 2, and so it goes on. And we definitely don't want any of those things to happen to you before you quit smoking, because the chances are you'll start thinking, this is going to be so hard. You'll build up fear. We don't want you to do that. It's not that scary. We want you to go into it positive. We want you to go into it physically sick of cigarettes, so that you're feeling really kind of, oh, if I taste another cigarette, I don't want to do it anymore. That's how we would prefer you to come to this quit attempt. Just feel like, oh, do I have to smoke this last one? It's a struggle to smoke this last one. I don't want to do it. I've had enough. So that's why cutting down is not a good idea.